Julene Gervais began her career after completing her master's degree from Emerson College and her undergrad at Boston College. Her first job was at WECT-TV, an NBC affiliate in Wilmington, North Carolina. Then in 1996, she moved to Maine and became an anchor and reporter at WAGM-TV in Presque Isle before moving on to WLBZ-TV News Center Maine in Bangor and WGME-TV Channel 13 in Portland. Gervais owned and operated 3 restaurants with her husband, George Gervais, until she was recruited by the pharmaceutical industry and became a senior business sales executive for several Fortune 500 companies such as GlaxoSmithKline, AstraZeneca, and now Johnson & Johnson. Gervais is also the producer and host of Greenlight Maine, taking all of her amazing skills and putting them together to help the great state of Maine build the economy. So I am a personal friend of Julene Gervais, and she is a person of the highest order. I am so honored that she is my friend, and she was my kayaker when I swam the Peaks to Portland swim from Peaks Island to Portland last July, and she has offered to be my kayaker again in July of 2020. So I'm honored that she took the time out of her very busy schedule to appear on the PR Maven podcast. Welcome to the PR Maven podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. So, Julene, first of all, I'm so happy to be here with you today at the Portland Pod.
I am so happy to be here with you as well. This is so exciting. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. And I'm going to try not to giggle because you just make me so happy. I just giggle. So anyway, yeah. Oh, well, for one of my podcasts, there was a listener who said, she seems very silly. I don't know if I'm going to listen anymore because she's so silly. So it's like, okay.
Well, silly in a good way. I think, your laugh is infectious. People love you. Why not? It makes everybody feel better.
Life is short. That's so right. Be yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Julene, to kick things off, tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
I went to Boston College. I was an English major. I thought I was going to be a teacher because I come from a long line of teachers. My parents were teachers. My aunts and uncles were teachers. And I really enjoy teaching. I love helping other people. But at the same time, I always entered public speaking contests through high school. So it was sort of a passion of mine. So I always had this writing thing going on for the school newspapers, and I loved broadcasting. I was on the radio in college, the whole thing. So one of my professors said, you should really look into Emerson College because they have a great program for broadcast journalism. So I went to Emerson for grad school. One of my professors there said, do you want to go down to North Carolina? My friend has an opening for a producer. It would be a great experience for you. And that's how it all began in Wilmington for WECT. It was an NBC affiliate. But I missed home. I missed New England. I missed the snow. I missed everything. Hurricanes, they really do get old. The year and a half I was down there, I went through 5 hurricanes, and standing out in those is very dangerous. It's not fun. I'd rather stand out in a snowstorm any day. I got my start in Maine at WAGM in Presque Isle, the CBS affiliate there.
Channel 8.
Exactly. And I worked there for a few years. And then I moved to Bangor and worked for News Center. And then I moved to Portland and worked for WGME, News 13, the CBS affiliate. So it's just been, working in 3 different television markets in the state of Maine. I really saw how Maine all kind of fits together and comes together. And the moment that I got here, the people in Maine were just so welcoming. I just felt like it was home.
I'm glad you said that, because some people think that Maine people are judgmental and distant and cold.
I have never experienced that at all. And they're very proud. I mean, very proud to call themselves Mainers because, you endure a lot sometimes geographically and sometimes if it's a harsh winter, but also humble at the same time.
Well, I think part of it is that people are mirroring how they feel about you or what you project. And you never project that you're above anybody. You meet people at their own level. And it's obvious to the other people that you respect who they are. So I think they show you that respect back.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so kind of you to say.
Well, I think sometimes if people do come from other states, they sort of hold themselves above Mainers as if somehow they're more sophisticated or more advanced or more educated or whatever. But I have had the same experience with Maine people that if you just look them in the eye and smile and act like you're interested, well, not just act like, if you are interested in them,
absolutely,
then they will show you that respect back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you had it to do all over again, what would you do differently?
I would have moved here a lot sooner because I love it here. I was telling a group of people the other day that early on, when I first moved here in the 90s, my childhood friend was coming to visit me. And he called me and said, I'm going to be late. I'm in traffic on the crappy Maine Turnpike because there's construction going on and it's backed up. And I didn't even think about what I was saying. I just said to him, well, that's because they're widening it for massholes like you to come here.
Touche!
I know. And it was like, I didn't even think about it. I just said it.
With due respect to our listeners from Massachusetts.
Right, because we want them to come, and they do come.
And you're from there originally,
and
right?
I'm from there, so I can say that about myself. So anyway, it was just so funny, and I've never forgotten that because from that moment, I have always pushed Maine forward as like the greatest place on earth to be. Like, why would you want to live anywhere else?
You are such a cheerleader for the state of Maine. And in your role as host of Greenlight Maine, I've seen how you support and you cheer on these entrepreneurs. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. I do. I love it here. It's real. It's all real. And don't get me wrong, like I'm a hometown girl. Like I grew up right outside of Boston. I went to Boston College. I love the Red Sox and the Patriots and everything. But you still have that here. It's not far. Like you can jump a train or a bus, or it's under 2 hours to get there from a lot of Maine. So it's a great place to live. Plus, you don't have all that congestion and traffic.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. And it's like one big small town. As you said, I mean, the Maine people, whether you're in Machias or Millinocket or Old Orchard or wherever you are, everyone's connected.
There's that bond for sure. Yeah. And no matter where you go in the world, when somebody hears that you're from Maine, they get so excited and they start talking to you about who they know from Maine or when they've traveled here.
Or they went to summer camp in Maine, or their aunt has a place on the beach in Maine. I love that too.
So many Maine connections.
Yeah, that's great. So can you give me an example of how PR and social media have helped to advance you personally or your organization or a client you've worked with?
I think it's vital. It's a vital tool in anybody's world these days, whether you're a daycare provider, you're a teacher, you're a lawyer. With the show Greenlight Maine, I mean, it just having your own personal page or your company page, it's all tied in together. I mean, you can say, oh, I'm going to have my personal page and I'm going to have my company page, but it still intertwines. So I love it.
Yeah. And I think another thing is you're very good at networking both online and in person. And of course, that's the whole premise of the PR Maven podcast is that we need to do both and we need to build our community around our brand through online and in-person events or interaction or social media.
Yeah, it's like the right hand holds the left. You can't have one without the other these days. You have to think about it as the whole picture. And I do feel that is getting lost, that people are communicating only through social. Because I've had people say to me, oh, don't call me. I do everything via email, and that's how we're going to communicate. And that's hard for me because I mean, I like to explain the details and I like to get to know you and have a relationship with you.
I agree. And if you don't hear someone's tone of voice, I mean, there can be so many misunderstandings. I just had that happen on an email with a prospective client from Ireland. He was sending me some questions by email and I sort of misunderstood. And then it caused a little bit of tension. But when we actually spoke on the phone and I could hear his Irish brogue.
And he heard your laughter.
Yeah, right. Then everything worked out just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
So have you faced obstacles in your career and how have you overcome them?
Of course. I mean, who doesn't have obstacles at one time or another in your life? I think I really feel like that is what you learn from the most, and it makes you who you are. I mean, what would you be if everything was easy, So you just got to move forward, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and keep going.
That's right.
That's how I look at it.
And I was just listening to a Tony Robbins podcast, and he was talking about gratitude, and especially as we're in the Thanksgiving season, he was talking about if you feel grateful, it's hard to be angry or mad about your life or your situation, and that for every obstacle, there's an opposite, an equal, feeling. You can say, well, I'm grateful that at least I have this obstacle in my life.
Absolutely. There's always a silver lining, isn't there?
Yes, and you can always learn from your mistakes or your errors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Julene. We're going to go into a quick break, but I want to remind PR Maven Nation that we have our new listener line. And if you have any comments or questions for me, you can call 207-620-9075 and get in touch with me and ask me anything, and we'll play your question and my answer on the podcast. And I'm really excited about this new feature of the PR Maven podcast. But we're going to take a quick break and hear about the Marshall Plan, and we'll be back in just a moment. This podcast is all about growing your network in order to strengthen your brand. In my 30-plus year marketing and PR career, I have seen many organizations waste their precious time and money on marketing because they're trying to obtain success without any strategy to achieve their goals. So many organizations and companies suffer from what I call the shiny object syndrome, trying every new fad that comes down the pike. That's why I created the Marshall Plan 15 years ago. We have done over 100 of these plans for clients, helping them to get out of their day-to-day routine to identify their goals, solidify their brand story, focus in on their ideal customer avatar, analyze their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and create a realistic budget and measurement dashboard. We create the Marshall Plan collaboratively with our clients over the course of 3 months. We have a 65-step process to create a highly customized, actionable plan. And it's not like we come in and say, we are the consultants from away and we know everything. Instead, we come in and say, let's sit down at the table with your leadership team and we'll bring our expertise in what's working in PR and marketing. And our client team brings their knowledge of what's working in their organization. And together we come up with a really amazing plan. For many, it's been a transformative process. I have watched how teams have come together and their faces light up because they have such a sense of accomplishment and they're so excited about the future of their organization. We help our client figure out the best way to implement the plan, sometimes using people within their organization and sometimes with our help. We would love to chat with you about how you can expand your network and achieve your marketing goals with a Marshall Plan. Go to marshallpr.com/MarshallPlan to learn more about the process, or better yet, send me an email at nancy@prmaven.com and we'll set up a time to talk and get started. And now back to our conversation. Welcome back, PR Maven Nation, and now it's time for our book and Things to Do pad giveaway. Julene, you may be getting one of the Things to Do pads in the mail as a result of being on the show today.
Yay, I can't wait. I'm going to look for that.
Well, I know you have a lot of things to do all the time because you have a busy family life and a busy professional life, and then
I always have time for you.
Oh,
absolutely.
I love that about you. It's true. I mean, it's just amazing how I don't know how you spread yourself across all of the people in your life, but I really appreciate that you have time for me.
Oh, and I appreciate that you've invited me on here. This is a blast. I just love sitting and talking to you. I always learn something new.
Well, we're going to talk about Greenlight Maine in just a moment, but first I want to make sure that people know that if they want a copy of my book or a Things to Do pad, they should go to prmaven.com/giveaway and enter today, and you could be our next winner. So I want to talk about Greenlight Maine because, of course, Marshall Communications is a sponsor this season of Greenlight Maine, and we did one of our Marshall plans. So you got to see firsthand the 65-step process. And how did you feel about going through the Marshall Plan process?
I loved every minute of it. It was very educational. It was very eye-opening. It just showed that there's so much more that we can work towards and set goals for and be doing to help promote Mainers and startups, entrepreneurs, and the whole state of Maine.
That's right. And really what we try to focus on is building that community around your brand, the people who are the raving fans or the brand ambassadors. And obviously those people are watching the show, but, even having watch parties, like the watch party that I went to with Maddie Purcell and Feud Kitchen, that was so much fun. But she had her community there. And that's just one way that we thought you could grow the audience, is to have those parties. But we came up with a lot of other tactics and initiatives that you could do to grow that audience and that brand.
So many tactics. More and more companies are having the watch parties. And the thing about Greenlight Maine is what people don't realize, it's multifaceted. So you have the viewers at home, right, that are watching the show and learning about everything that's going on in the state. And they come up to us and they're just blown away. They didn't even realize this entrepreneurial ecosystem that was going on. So there's that. And then you have the companies, the startups that come on the show that we promote, and their pitches are on our YouTube channel forever. So they can send anybody they want to our website to learn about them. They don't have to keep pitching and pitching over again because they're too busy running their companies. And then we have this whole collaboration of the state between the public and private sector that we connect our companies to, whether it's DECD or MTI, Mitzi, Fame, Maine and Company, and it just keeps going. And our bank is Bangor Savings Bank. So there's those 3 levels just right there that we focus on all the time. So the fact that we had your Marshall Plan, I mean, we need to keep going with that and keep moving it forward because there's so much more that we can do to grow the Greenlight brand. I know we talked about doing a Greenlight Academy where we either take maybe both the startups from the regular season and the college season and take them on and work with them after that they've been on the show, because we're already really doing that. There's so much that goes into the planning process of them getting ready for their pitches before we tape the show. And there's also this follow-up that's starting to occur. We're planning an event right now with DECD with like a Greenlight alumni group of kind of a networking thing, because entrepreneurs do better when they're playing off each other and sharing ideas.
Absolutely. I mean, when you start a business, sometimes you don't think about all of the aspects of running a business. I know when I started my PR agency, I was thinking, oh, I'm good at PR, therefore I'll be good at running a PR agency business. But wow, there is so much to it. It's so complicated. And just because you're good at doing the thing doesn't mean you're going to be good at running a business. And that's where you need all of those sources of help. I know that I did not take advantage of all of the kinds of help that organizations like SCORE or the SBA or MTI, I didn't take advantage of those things early on. I did discover an agency network group that I started going to after I had my business for 7 years. But yeah, those first 7 years were really rough. Like I was just sort of going it on my own and making it up as I went along. But if I had had some help with all the aspects like HR and financial management and even legal and accounting, I mean, taking advantage of those professional services is really important. And it might seem expensive, but it's really more expensive if you don't get the help, because then you're sort of learning and making mistakes that are costly.
Absolutely. When we have our Sunday morning conversation interview segment, we'll always have like an insurance company and a law firm and a banker, and they'll say, get a lawyer, even if you don't need a lawyer, because everybody should be prepared. At least get a lawyer when you're first starting out to have that like initial consultation to be like, what do I need to do? How do I protect my business? Do I need to get a patent for this? So, I mean, maybe you don't need to talk to your lawyer all the time, but you at least need a law firm that you know is your go-to, like, okay, now I got a problem.
I agree. I have trademarks on the Marshall Plan and on the PR Maven.
Of course you do.
Of course
How
I
could
do.
you not drive that nice car around and have that license plate and everything else and not have it?
I do have PR Maven on my license plate. So that's a relatively new development, but I figure why not? It is
Why
a company
not?
car. So.
Put it out there. You do a phenomenal job marketing your company and your brand. So everybody can learn something from you.
Thank you, Julene. I think it's kind of in my DNA. I think I was sort of born with it, even though my mother will say she has no idea where I came from. So, Julene, most people have a network of fans and followers online or in person. And of course, Greenlight Maine has this huge community of businesses and audience members and sponsors. Do you want to talk about that community?
Sure. I mean, there's a big crossover from, you could be, the person who is retired, at home watching the show, and you either might have a business idea that you want to start something up, or you might have a friend or a family member. I mean, or you could just have no interest, but find the show interesting to watch. So there's that kind of community out there that follows the show. And then the whole business community. I mean, we just want to keep getting the word out to have more involvement from the business community. I mean, we're very thankful for our partners. We have DECD, MTI, Mitzi, Fame, Maine and Company, that we work with all of them, that they come on the show. We also have Bangor Savings Bank, Thomas College, Hudson University, Hancock Lumber, Sutherland Weston, First Park. So there's a lot of companies that are involved at a very high level where we communicate with them often. They rotate in and out through our Sunday morning conversation business segment. There's some of them are judges. And then we also have business leaders from just various industries throughout the state. We try and represent every industry, whether it's somebody from the forest products industry, aquaculture, education, the university system. So you name it, we are trying to encompass it all, which is, I think, the best part about the show, because I always say a rising tide lifts all boats. We're in this all together, and it's really shining the spotlight on this whole collaboration between the public and the private sector of Maine, because it doesn't happen like this, that everybody works together to help the economy grow. It doesn't happen like this in every state.
No, that's one of the things I love so much about Maine is that, again, I think about it being one big small town and people do want to help one another and the businesses work so well together. And another thing is tourism is such a big industry in our state. And sometimes people will come here on vacation and see how awesome it is and then decide to move here and start a business here. So I think that the fact that DECD, the Department of Economic and Community Development, has both the Office of Tourism and the Office of Business Development working together in the same office under Commissioner Heather Johnson, I think that's really great because the two do interface so well together.
They do. It's so important to have them working together. And Commissioner Johnson has come on the show and done an interview and talked about the importance of, all of the heritage brands and how we can move those forward, and broadband being so important. So she's done so much in her first year in this administration. It's really, everybody in the department is to be commended.
Yeah, I agree. And I've heard her speak, and she's a really great public speaker. So
she is.
I think she's really working hard to get out and spread the word around the state.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your network helped you to advance your career, Julene?
Well, my network, let's see. Well, as far as Greenlight Maine is concerned, I feel like it's really me giving back to the state. I mean, I love it here. I want to see it prosper and grow. And I just keep, trying to build Greenlight Maine bigger and better than ever and form more partnerships. And then my other career, which is for Johnson & Johnson, I mean, that, I've been in that for quite some time now, and I love doing that as well. So there is some overlap because some of the business people are the same, but yeah, I mean, and my husband and I were in business together for years, and I actually met him when I was a reporter in Bangor. And that's how eventually, after working in Portland, I moved back to Bangor so we could work together. So it's just kind of like, how you get that feeling where like what belongs to you comes to you. I just feel like this was all supposed to happen this way, where I, became the reporter, broadcaster. I was in business with my husband for years, and then I've sort of combined them together now.
And I think that a lot of people don't realize that you volunteer in your role with Greenlight Maine, which I think is quite remarkable.
Yeah, a lot of people think I do it full time.
Yeah.
Well, it is sort of full time. I know. It's like having two full-time jobs. Yeah. That's okay.
Well, you work hard. And then,
thank you.
Not to mention that you have 3 beautiful children.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they're like the center of it all. So
yeah,
that's where, where it all happens.
Yeah. And you have 2 aspiring actors in your family.
Yes, that's right. Taylor, who is living in Portland now. He's a graduate of the University of Southern Maine. And he does so much with Portland Players and just various theaters around the state. So we love going to see him. And you've been to some as well.
Going with you to those shows. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And my son, Jack, he is at Greenlight High School and he's part of the drama program. So he's really starting to get involved with theater there too. And he sings just like Taylor, and he plays the baritone sax, and Who isn't proud of their child?
I know.
You know, you
Yeah.
have two boys that are highly successful and driven.
Yeah. It's like, wow, how'd that happen?
Yeah. And I need to thank my husband, George, because he's, my business partner, and he's been a great mentor to me, and he encouraged me to do this and supported me too.
Yeah. Well, he's a great guy.
Thanks.
We'll have to have him on the show too.
I know. Gotta get him.
And then, of course, you and George supported me in my swim when I did the Peaks to Portland swim this past summer. And you were my kayaker, and he was our motorboat support.
That's right.
So that was a 2.4-mile ocean swim in the cold ocean. And I didn't wear a wetsuit because I'm allergic to wetsuits. So
I think you were like one of the only people who did not wear a wetsuit that day, because we all know what that water can be like, especially when you're in it for how many hours?
2 hours.
Well, you swam fast, because the cross from Peaks to Portland could take way longer than that. So you were most impressive.
I'm going to be doing it again next year, but I want to do it faster.
Oh my gosh.
I'm motivated. I didn't realize that it actually was sort of like a race. They time you and they give out medals. And I'm actually going to be in a different age bracket next year. So that'll be to my advantage. But I do want to start training soon so I can get one of those medals.
So great. Well, I'll look forward to doing that again with you then.
Good. Me too. And it was a nice hot day too. I think it was 94 degrees out. So that did help.
That did make it easier for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was still a nice breeze out there on the water.
Yeah. And you paddled hard. So, Julene, in your line of work, is there a resource such as a book, a website, or an app that you have found helpful, and why?
I love the book. It's called Success is an Inside Job, and it's by Lee Miltier. And you would love her because she's owns her own marketing company, and she holds several seminars around the country. If you go to, she has her own website, and the book is all about, how you have your mind is like a computer, and what you feed it and what you tell it is really what your belief system comes to be. And it's all about you become what you think about. So if you're the power of positivity is within you and you want something, you innately create that drive to go get it. And it talks about how your conscious mind is your reality, and you know what is within reason. But then the subconscious mind, you really should let go and follow that dream, and it will take you there. And it's really changed my perspective on a lot of things, because there's so much noise out there of people telling you, or you reading different things on social media. And I always go back to my experiences and what's inside my head, and to keep going. And that's what I listen to.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I will check out Lee Miltier. But I was mentioning that I was listening to a Tony Robbins podcast earlier today.
He's great too. Yeah.
And he talks about how our brains are these $2 million year old organisms that are really programmed for fear and survival. So if we just let our brain run away with us, we're going to be just worried all the time and full of anxiety. But because we have 2 million years of experience, I think we need to feel grateful, first of all, that we are living at a time when we have so many opportunities. And there's programs like Greenlight Maine that can help us. And again, all these services available through DECD and Maine International Trade Center and Maine Technology Institute and SCORE and, even the Thomas College Harold Alphons Center for Entrepreneurial Excellence and the programs at NESCOM. So we do have this whole web of services and programs that want us to succeed.
Absolutely. I mean, our website has a whole list of resources if you go to greenlightmaine.com. And then we also connect companies with whatever their needs are. We can facilitate meetings and things like that too. So we do, that's why I say it's so much more than a TV show. We do so much more outside of what you see on News Center Maine.
I agree. I agree.
Thank
and
you.
I'm happy to be part of it.
And you are a big part of it this season. We're so happy to have you on. We're getting such good feedback on your marketing minutes. And it's people have said, that is so valuable, what Nancy is saying. I know I need to do that. And she's reminding me to do it because I'm not doing it in my company.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that because I had a lot of fun doing it. I went to Bangor on one day to tape all 13 marketing minutes. And this is a little bit of inside sports, but I brought 13 different outfits and I changed very fast from outfit to outfit.
Our crew was so impressed with you. They said they had never seen anybody change so fast and be so prepared because you had all your scripts like locked and loaded in the prompter. It was amazing.
Well, you helped me with that too.
Oh, you're too sweet.
So, Julene, what would be your final piece of advice for someone starting out in their career?
Do what you love and follow your passion, and don't listen to too many people who tell you can't do it or it's a bad idea because they're not the one doing it. So they really don't know. They're not inside your head. That's what I would say. And just go for it. I mean, if somebody says that, oh, that's a terrible business idea, that will never work. Don't listen to them. Go for it anyway.
I agree. My dad was a big part of inspiring me to do what I've done, but he didn't think it was a good idea to start my own business because he had worked for the same company. He worked for Westinghouse, a big company, for his whole career. And he thought starting a business was crazy. But I'm so glad that I did because now that I've had my business for almost 30 years, it's like I can't imagine a life doing anything else.
Wow. And you have done such an amazing job and inspired so many people to take the leap and go into business for themselves. So hats off to you.
You just have to stick with it. Yeah.
You have to be dedicated.
Be tenacious.
You do.
So as always, my final question is to help PR Maven Nation connect with you. What are the best ways that they can get in touch with you?
So you can find us at greenlightmaine.com. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
That's great. Well, thank you, Julene. It has been such a pleasure, and I'm so honored that I know you. I'm actually grateful to your husband, George, for introducing us because I met him years ago through DECD.
Oh, yeah. Can I just tell you the story of how you and I met? Because I love this story.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were in the bathroom at Husson University, and you were on as a judge. And I came out of the stall, and you were like, hello, I'm Nancy Marshall. Can I give you one of my pens? And I was like, of course. And it was like, had these rhinestones in it. It was the most beautiful pen I have ever seen. I don't even use it because it's so pretty. And so you were like, do you know who I am? And I was like, of course, you're Nancy Marshall.
I'm dying because one of my famous stories is when I was first starting my PR career. I went to New York City on behalf of Sugarloaf, and my boss, Chip Carey, used to send me into the ladies' room to see if I could find any reporters or editors at ski magazines. So he actually would have me stand at the sink and wash my hands and introduce myself. So I guess I should be known as the best bathroom networker.
That is awesome. Fantastic. And you're still doing it after all these years.
Thanks, Julene, and have a great day, PR Maven Nation.
Thank you, Nancy. It's been a pleasure.
That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you feel that you've gotten value out of today's conversation, consider leaving a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever app you're using to tune in. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should do so. I release a new episode each week, and subscribing will make sure you get an alert when there's a new episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation by going to prmaven.com/nation and clicking join. It's free, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you have an Alexa-enabled device, be sure to add the PR Maven Marketing Minute to your daily flash briefing menu. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.